r/ask Reddit. What is the coolest scientific fact you know of? The sheer size of blue whales is insane, but baby blue whales are just mind-boggling. Blue whale calves take in about 380 liters of milk a day for the first 7 months. That's about 2.5 bathtubs full of delicious whale milk, or the equivalent of drinking 1 can of soda about every 80 seconds. According to National Geographic, a baby blue whale grows about 200 pounds a day in its first year. That's more than a pound every 8 minutes. If someone put one in front of you with a knife and a fork, you literally could not eat a baby blue whale faster than it can grow. Edit. Basic mathematics. You've ducked me again. That is an incredible amount of growth, and an amazing fact, although I'm not sure I get the numbers. Isn't it more like over 8 pounds an hour? 200 pounds per day. 200 divide 24 equals 8. 3,333,360 minutes in an hour. 60 divide 8. 333,333 equals 7. 2 more like a pound every 7 minutes. Still pretty damn hard to eat continually, and still remarkable. When little Timmy met a mage, who said the ladder quest, begin, declared the noble sage, the trusty sailor's test, before you lies a whale, he said, a bouncing baby blue, and there the challenge waits ahead, upon a plate for you, said he, you see, it's growing still, and though it's only small, you cannot rest or rise until you've gulped and eaten all, and with my mighty magic skill, apostrophe, the wizard stood to shout, you'll sit, and while you have your fill, the whale will live throughout. So Timmy heard his words with joy, and Timmy said, what fun, I will not move, declared the boy, until the deed is done. I'll munch and crunch this whale away, apostrophe, he cried with hope and pride. It grew to 100 pounds a day, and Timmy ducking died. This one is from memory, so sorry that I am hazy on a few of the details. A Jewish scientist who had won the Nobel Prize was forced to flee the Nazis. Apparently the Nazis were opposed to the Nobel Prize for some reason, so the scientists dissolved the gold Nobel medal in a beaker of acid before he left. He returned to his lab after the war and found the beaker undisturbed on the counter. He was able to precipitate the gold from the solution, and the Nobel Institute was able to recast his medal. From Wikipedia. When Germany invaded Denmark in World War II, Hungarian chemist George de Hevesy dissolved the gold Nobel Prizes of German physicists Max von Laue, 1914, and James Franck, 1925, in Aqua Regia to prevent the Nazis from confiscating them. The German government had prohibited Germans from accepting or keeping any Nobel Prize after jailed peace activist Karl von Ossietzky had received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1935. De Hevesy placed the resulting solution on a shelf in his laboratories at the Niels Bohr Institute. It was subsequently ignored by the Nazis, who thought the jar, one of perhaps hundreds on the shelving, contained common chemicals. After the war, de Hevesy returned to find the solution undisturbed and precipitated the gold out of the acid. The gold was returned to the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences and the Nobel Foundation. They recast the medals and again presented them to Laue and Franck. Damn, that's actually cool as duck. There exists a star that spins around 716 times a second, giving an equatorial speed of around 24% the speed of light. This incredible star is no more than 32 kilometers wide, yet we have spotted this cosmic spinning top some 18 feet 000 light years away. Edit. To try and get an idea as to how fast 716 times a second is, that's 42,960 times a minute. Compare that to various beats per minute, with the star best approximated by the 50,000 sample near the end. Late edit. U/T-Jars engineer has provided a better video that has converted the radio signal from these kinds of stars into a sound beat. How tall is it? I felt like if it's spinning that fast it would be shorter than it is wide. It definitely bows at its equator just like Earth. Multiple galaxies, including our Milky Way, are moving towards a mysterious massive, thousands of Milky Ways of mass, gravitational anomaly very far away. It's called the Great Attractor, and nobody knows what it is. Edit. For those interested, here's a video about it. At that scale, how do we know that the galaxies are being pulled rather than this being an arbitrary intersection? Did some googling, and the answer is they're not even 100% sure what it is. Could be a much larger supercluster called the Shapley supercluster causing the effect. Either way, they said they noticed the effect on multiple galaxies by measuring their speed, which all varied along an angular plane, which is expected if there was some massive force pulling on all of them. Out of all animals, humans are the best long distance runners. This is due to our ability to sweat and absorb shock. We have also evolved to have more slow twitch fibers in our muscles, making them have a greater endurance. We can literally outrun horses given enough distance. Our ancestors would practice persistence hunting, which we would just chase prey until they fell over from exhaustion. Edit. To be more specific, this is at optimal temperature. As it gets lower, sled dogs will win. As it gets higher, African plain animals, ostrich and antelope are often used. Would probably do well, as we don't have any evidence for sure. However, humans could overcome this by simply wearing the skin of local animals, or carrying water with us. Edit 2. Courtney Dorwalter. I really need to work on my cardio. Rule number 1. Cardio. The lowest natural temperature ever directly recorded at ground level on Earth is 89.2 degrees Celsius, 128, 6 degrees Fahrenheit, 184.0 K, at the Soviet Vostok station in Antarctica on the 21st of July, 1983 by ground measurements. I experienced about -110 F, -135 F with wind at the South Pole last winter. The odd thing is that after a certain temperature it doesn't feel much colder. Still cold as hell though. Today I learned hell is cold. We've created conditions on Earth that are colder than anywhere else in the known universe. Edit. The whoa, this is my highest rated comment. Edit. That's pretty cool. You're getting friend zoned is tough. Just look up exoplanets. But my personal favorite is a planet that constantly rains glass sideways. Even crazier than that is the fact that we are apparently able to deduce all this from the periodic dimming of a faraway light. This is literally the only information we get. Well, we do have an uncountable number of planets to compare to, so we have a lot more data than you may think. That if you have an itch on the left side of your body, you can relieve it by looking into a mirror and scratching the right side of your body. Waiting for an itch so I can run to the bathroom and try this. I had one on my nose, but I just absently scratched it. Now I gotta wait for the next one like I missed the metro. In 2009, Stephen Hawking held a private party for time travelers, but sent out the invites a day after the party. As expected, no one showed up. Stay curious, my friends. For anyone curious, some of the party was filmed. What a shame. I was hoping a future Miss Universe was going to step through the door. Oh, Stephen. He's keeping quiet about the radiator chick from the radiator planet. Blind people don't see blackness. They see nothing. Pretty difficult to comprehend unless you're, well, blind. Nothing equals blackness. PLZ help, I can't understand how that must work. Edit. I'm Reddit famous woo. Thanks for the answers everyone. Close one eye. What do you see out of your closed eye? That blackness is actually the shadow of your nose being seen from your open eye. Look away from your closed eye and now what do you see? Absolutely nothing. You only need one kidney with 75% of its functional capacity in order to live. I found out at age 29 that I only have one kidney by reading my MRI report online that said absent left kidney, all casual like. Turns out it's pretty common, and if you were born before the 90s and have never had an ultrasound on your abdomen or an MRI, you might also only have one kidney too. High five. I found out at age 29 that I only have one kidney by reading my MRI report online that said absent left kidney, all casual like. I'd like to see a non-casual report. Liver normal, stomach normal, but holy shit, there's only one kidney here, dude. Magnetars are neutron stars with a ridiculous magnetic field. If one showed up halfway between the moon and Earth, it would wipe all magnetic strips on credit cards. If it was 1,000 kilometers away, you would disintegrate like an X-Men 3. If a neutron star appeared anywhere near Earth, I believe we'd have bigger problems than not being able to swipe our credit cards. Yep, perhaps we would vaporize like Kingsman 3. All human cancer cells have the sialic acid molecule NOI5GC. We as humans only produce NOI5AC. The gene that used to produce NOI5GC mutated and cannot produce it anymore. In nature, all other mammals have NOI5GC and some NOI5AC. It's unknown if the cancerous cells changes the sialic acid to NOI5GC or if it's from a foreign source. Normally our immune system would attack invading substance that have NOI5GC molecules on the cells. But something is suppressing its identity on cancer cells. A vaccine that could identify the suppressing factor in the NOI5GC molecule on cancerous cells could cure cancer. Holy shite. Batman. I mean, you/Torius. So, are we close? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Research is being done to see if an influenza virus that uses NOI5GC molecule to enter a cell could be used to attack cancer cells. Regular masturbation reduces your chance of getting prostate cancer, and getting married in your early 20s increases it. Is the marriage part a joke about married couples not having sex? No. The research showed that people who get married young are extremely sexually active in the first 10 years. Then in later life the amount would reduce significantly. However, guys who get married after 30 were more sexually active during their 30s, 40s and 50s, reducing their chances of getting prostate cancer. Time dilation. Time will flow at a slower rate for a person closer to a center of mass compared to a person who is further away. The power of eternal youth can be found at your local Walmart. It also flows at a slower rate as you approach the speed of light. The human tongue cannot taste anything without saliva. Lemons have saliva? WTF is that gif? I just think it's really ducking cool that Beetlejuice might go supernova in our lifetime. I mean, holy shit. Just don't say his name 3 times. -40 degrees Celsius equals -40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty cool. Hey, say what? What's cooler than being cool? A speck of dust is halfway in size between an atom and the earth. I've been given many analogies about how small atoms are before, but goddamn, this one's definitely the best by far. The fact the electromagnetic force that a small hand magnet has on a paper clip is more powerful than the entire gravitational force of the earth. Don't know why, but this little experiment always blows my mind. Excuse me, what? That a magnet can pull a paperclip upwards means it's stronger than Earth's gravity pulling that paperclip downwards. The fastest man-made object was a nuclear-powered manhole cover. That's some Team Rocket shit right there. That your memory for an event can be completely changed from a single offhand comment. Every time you remember something, your brain opens that memory and essentially puts it in write mode. This means every time you remember something, the memory can change. Water in its purest form is a poor conductor of electricity. Read this on Reddit a few years ago. It's the salt, minerals dissolved in aqueous solution, not just suspended, that carry current. Passing a magnet through a metal coil creates an electric charge, or, by working backwards, passing an electric charge through a metal coil around an object turns it into a magnet. Pretty basic stuff, but I can't wrap my head around what electricity actually is and how we so easily manipulate it. A fun demonstration of electromagnetic induction is dropping a strong magnet through a copper pipe. The copper isn't magnetic, but when you drop the magnet through, it falls much slower than it would outside the pipe. I'm a physics teacher and do this demo yearly, but this recent video was something new for me. Swinging a magnet as a pendulum at a big chunk of copper. Amazing. https://yauto bsend sf8ppa t equals 307. We are starting to infuse concrete with bacteria that shit chalk, so when micro cracks appear they will be sealed by the said chalk. Open bracket. Note, they hibernate until cracks appear, which allows air and moisture to get to them. It requires less energy to shoot a rocket into the sun from Pluto than it does from Earth. I'm no expert in physics, but is it because due to Pluto's smaller size it requires less thrust to escape the gravitational pull, thus requiring a smaller fuel source as well? Partly, burning fuel on the way to the sun isn't all that important. Which is the tricksy bit. It's breaking free of gravity that's the real pain in the astrophysics. The bigger issue is that Pluto is moving more slowly around the sun than Earth is. You need to counteract that sideways movement, or your rocket will basically just glance off, a gravity assist, or a gravitational slingshot. The goal is to set your sideways movement to 0, and then your rocket can just sort of fall in. That said, firing anything into the sun is way harder than you think. If you were to somehow stack every single human being in the world on top of one another, not only would the guy at the bottom suffer from lots of back problems, but the total height would be taller than the height of the sun. The average human height, which is around 5 feet-ish, times 6 billion, is 38 billion feet. The sun's diameter, in comparison, is only around 5 billion feet. Dinosaurs did not go extinct. Still blows my mind. We kept a brontosaurus in our backyard growing up. Lots of people did. How can somebody believe they're not around? Can someone alive 5? The Leidenfrost effect, where the water can flow uphill. https://yahoo bzzkgnngqxmw. 3-toed sloths have more vertebrae in their necks than giraffes do. Edit. Phrasing since you all are smartasses lol. Producing antibiotic resistant bacteria is very useful and is way more common than most people think. Edit. Okay, suppose you will have to mass produce insulin. The quickest way to do it is to insert the genes coding for human insulin into a bacteria. This is because bacteria grows quickly and are cheap to grow. You can simply mass produce them and extract the proteins out of them. However, you can't really tell if the bacteria you are growing has been successfully transformed or not, i.e. do they contain any of the genes that you want to insert. Thus, we can insert an antibiotic resistance gene into the same vector that carry the insulin gene. That way, the bacteria that carries the antibiotic resistance gene will also carry our target gene. The final step is to add lots of antibiotics into the bacterial culture. Everything else is killed and only the bacteria that carries our desired genes will be left behind. This is something that I do weekly, so yeah, it is more useful than most people think. 5% of the entire universe is standard matter. That's literally everything we can see and measure. The rest is dark matter and dark energy. I know that you can put a live fly in the freezer for a while, then take it out and bring it back to life by sprinkling salt on it. Actually, you don't need to sprinkle salt on it. The cold temperature slows their metabolism and makes them not able to move. After a while in room temperature they will return to normal and start moving again. Sometimes magicians use this to make it look like they are bringing a dead fly back to life. This reminds me of the Tumblr post from a while ago. Did you know that if you put a live bee in the freezer it will stop moving? Then you can put the bee in your mouth and warm it up to bring it back to life. Now you have a live bee in your mouth. The fact that the universe can be understood. For all we know, the universe could be completely chaotic and lawless. The sun could grow a face right now and say, what even made you think there are patterns in the universe that you can find lol. Then promptly turn into a teddy bear, but it doesn't. For some reason gravity, electromagnetism, thermodynamics, degeneracy pressure, quantum tunneling, weak interaction, and many other processes which I probably haven't even heard of all work together in perfect harmony to keep a star burning for billions of years in a way which we can somewhat understand. The most incomprehensible thing about the world is that it is comprehensible. Einstein. The more I learn physics, the more I realize how true this is. Edit. To everyone who mentions the anthropic principle, yes, I know what it is. Personally, I don't really buy it. Not that I am an expert on scientific philosophy. I just shut up and calculate. The way I see it, anthropic principle is still missing something. The laws of the universe are comprehensible because if the laws are too complicated, such a universe could not support intelligent life. The fact that intelligent life exists means that the laws of the universe are comprehensible. But this already presupposes that there are laws to be understood. The universe can be incomprehensible and intelligent life can still exist. They don't seem that mutually exclusive to me. The average cumulus cloud weighs 1 million pounds. Astronomer here. My favorite one of the last month or so is sharks are older than Saturn's rings. Recently, thanks to Cassini, we know a ton about the rings we did not know about earlier, like their exact mass, We also now know that there is nowhere near enough soot on the rings from meteorite collisions over time for them to have been around forever. They also would be far larger for that time scale, and estimates now place them at really young, astronomically just 150 million years or so. Sharks, on the other hand, have been around 400 million years. Ergo, they're older than Saturn's rings. Open bracket. They are also older than trees. But I think the rings thing is cooler. In middle school and elementary school it is commonly taught that the Earth has layers: the crust, mantle, and core. The common diagram for this shows all the layers in a distinct red color to give the illusion of heat. All my life I thought that the Earth was red hot and almost liquid in the mantle. However, the Earth's mantle is actually green. High concentrations of olivine cause this. Another misnomer is that it is liquid. For the most part the mantle is like a plastic. It is one solid hot rock, and over the course of hundreds of years it shifts a little bit. I don't know if it's science, but as far as we know Mars is inhabited entirely by robots. Mitochondria are like symbiotic viruses that live in every cell of your body. They have their own set of DNA and can carry their own set of genetic diseases. You only inherit mitochondria from your mother. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, not viruses. The accepted idea is that they're the remnants of bacteria that a cell engulfed one day but failed to digest. Instead of eating it, the cell and the bacterium formed a mutual relationship. The cell gives the mitochondrion resources, and in return the mitochondrion produces ATP, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is kind of like a battery for processes in the cell. The molecule stores a lot of energy in the bonds between its atoms. When the cell needs to do something that requires energy, it breaks ATP's molecular bonds to get it. ATP then becomes ADP, adenosine diphosphate, which is much less energy. The extra source of energy from mitochondria is thought to have allowed eukaryotic cells to become as complex as they are today. Not to mention the process of engulfing another cell but forming a relationship with it rather than digesting it is called endosymbiosis. It happened at least twice. Once with mitochondria, and once with cyanobacteria. The cells that swallowed cyanobacteria developed into algae, then plants. Cyanobacteria produce energy through photosynthesis. I like the Banach-Tarski paradox. It basically says that if you accept the axiom of choice, then given a 3D solid ball, there is a way to decompose that ball into a finite number of pieces that you can then recombine into two new balls that are exactly the same as the original. Haha, what? Saturn is less dense than water. The largest living organism we know of is a fungus. This honey fungus colony in Oregon, US, consists of an unbroken chain of genetically identical individuals which emerge from a single continuous mycelium mat that is nearly 4 kilometers wide. It was discovered when scientists were investigating why dozens of trees in the area suddenly began to die off. Open bracket. The next largest known organism is a slightly smaller mycelium mat discovered a few years earlier in nearby Washington state. 7 billion people. 14 billion nipples. The process of getting pulled into a black hole is called spaghettification. The universe is still expanding. The galaxies are getting so far apart we may not see something we can already see in thousands of years. It is like hearing about a person who died. You hear about them and see evidence of them around, but you never actually see them, but you know they existed. Crystals. Adding pressure to them makes them produce electricity so I can light my BBQ grill. Also, everything they do in computers, watches, etc. by storing memory. Humans, from an evolutionary standpoint, are more related to mushrooms than mushrooms are to plants. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.